Well, good morning, Manna fam. So great to be here with you Monday morning. I'm really excited for this week. We're going to be going through Ephesians 6, verses 10 through 11, what it means to put on the full armor of God. You know, a lot of people, I'm sure, have read that, but you may be wondering, Paul uses a lot of symbols here. What does it mean to actually put that on? How am I living that out in my day-to-day life? God's word is timeless, but it's also always timely. And as we begin this year, there's a lot of conflict going on overseas. A lot of soldiers who are based out of this very base are staged right now in preparation for anything that could kick off. We also have a lot of cultural conflicts going on within our country. But throughout it all, there's also spiritual warfare. And you may not have realized it, but there is a spiritual war going on. So what are we to do? Well, Paul tells us, and today we're going to look at the first two verses of Ephesians 6, 10 through 17. We're going to look at verses 10 and 11 to see what does it mean to actually put on the full armor of God as we are a part of advancing his kingdom. And starts off with verse 10, where Paul says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." Now, I want to pause here and note it's very important to understand the context. We are called to advance God's kingdom. And have you ever wondered, as you're going about what you feel like is God's will, that there just seems to be seemingly random conflict that springs up? How when you're starting something, maybe starting to get some momentum, there's weird things that seem to be trying to stop it? Well, the devil and his demons are out there trying to foil God's plan, and you're rolling it. But God has given you everything you need to conquer, to vanquish, to defeat the enemy, and advance his kingdom. I want to focus in on that one word in verse 11, the full armor. The Greek word for that is panoplion. It's a combination of two words, pan, which means all, and hoplon, which is armor. In fact, when you look back at the ancient Greek armies, the soldiers were called hoplites. And an important part of their power, their ability to defeat the Persian Empire, which prior to that point no one had been able to defeat, was that they all went with their entire kit. So their power was based in the fact that they put on all of their armor, their panoplion. If they were missing their greaves or their helmet, their spear, their sword, their breastplate, then an element of them and therefore the unit was vulnerable. We're going to talk about what it means to put on the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness. We're going to unpack what it means to have our feet fitted with the readiness of the gospel and the shield of faith. We're going to dive into the meaning behind the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. Because, just to give a sports analogy, if you're a soccer player, you're not going to go without your cleats or your shin guards or your jersey. And you may be wondering, well, okay, Jordan, I hear all this, but what does it mean for me? Well, we're going to walk through what each of those pieces means. We're going to do so using modern-day military examples of U.S. military armor to help us better understand. And we're also going to walk through how does it apply to us spiritually. As we wake up every morning, how are we putting on the full armor of God? Tune in next time as we unpack the next verse and look at what it means to be aware of evil, but not afraid of it. See you then.